Thank you so much for the kind words. And, before I share a little bit, it was just such an honor to have folks from the Ukraine here when I think about their travels to get here and then to come to DC and to witness a snowstorm, and having to travel through that. It was such a joy to have them there, but I have to acknowledge Robert, our chief program officer, who just amazingly welcomed the delegation and sat there for hours, really just digging deep. And that type of opportunity, was very unique for us. We do so much here in the States, but to have the opportunity to actually have folks on the team share such deep wisdom, their wisdom with their deep excitement about learning about our system was unique. So I wish I could show pictures and tell you more, but I was given a time limit on how long I can talk. So just again, I just want to say thank you to Kidsave and thank you for this particular award. But tonight I wanted just to share a little bit more. For me, I would say that most of my life, relationships have felt more dangerous. Tonight is emotional for me because there was a time in my life when I genuinely did not believe people stayed. Foster care taught me that and foster care taught me that not through one moment, but through hundreds of moments. Being a foster kid taught me that family was something that belonged to other people. I learned to carry my life in a trash bag, move when told. I learned the choreography of not belonging, the spare bed, the new house rules, the smile that you practice so that you don't seem ungrateful. The consistent testing of which version of yourself feels the safest in this home so that maybe, just maybe, you can stay a little longer than the last placement. You learn to become emotionally lightweight, easy to move, easy to place, easy to remove. And eventually, your belonging stops feeling so personal. Trash bags become normal. I became so used to this being my life that packing up and putting stuff in a trash bag became the norm. No hesitation. And eventually, you stop unpacking emotionally too. The I love yous, the your family, the you can call me mom, and then one day your belongings are outside in a trash bag, is not the worst. The worst of it is when you don't ever actually communicate back with those relationships, those folks who had made those statements for once. So you kind of stop trusting words, and you start trusting patterns, distance, exits. You start expecting loss before connection even starts to have the chance to grow. So tonight is emotional for me because despite all of that, I sit in a room full of mentors whose collective mentorship has spanned over a century. How does someone have such complicated history with connection learn to connect again? For me, the answer has been mentorship. Mentorship has been one of the cornerstones of how I have become me. And I don't just mean the formal mentoring programs. It's that, and those change lives too. I mean all types of mentorship. In the room tonight, one of my peer mentors, after I age out, someone became instrumental. Someone who listens deeply, someone who remembers a lot of details, someone who has a lot of feedback and a bunch of random facts. And today I have a mentor in the room, and today's has become one of the closest people in my life. One of the mentors here tonight, our relationship started at an airport. I saw him coding on his computer, and for some reason, I saw code, and I walked up to him, and I was like, "Do you code?" He said yes. I asked him, "Well, what languages do you code?" And for anybody in the tech field, that is a really dumb question. And but he answered nicely. And then I said, "Are you connected to foster care?" And he said yes. And I told him the vision that I had to start something. And little that I could not have imagined that we would spend the next 3 years together building up this organization, and that tonight he would be getting an award too, but we'll keep that secret. So tonight Darrell is being honored, and I'm grateful for how he has mentored me too. That moment mattered because it became normal. You keep walking into special people. It's live. But mentorship sometimes starts with connecting anyway. One of my mentors tonight I met 10 years ago. in a moment where I definitely should have been fired as we were working on a national event. That's supposed to be where you laugh. But instead of that, he wrapped around me with his team, and I really should have been let go. But he wrapped around me, and what that moment taught me was the importance of not throwing away someone, right? Surrounding someone with support. His staff wrapped around me. And in that moment, I learned something powerful about grace. I learned that the real mentorship is not believing in people when they are just polished. It's believing in people while they are still becoming. One of my mentors tonight, our relationship started off with, honestly, a slightly demanding email. I was younger, y'all. This was like 12 years ago, okay? A code email, me asking to meet them because of a program that I deeply cared about, and they were taking the leadership role in that program. But who knew that a lunch at Matchbox would become years of mentorship, hard conversations, wisdom, life lessons? Who knew that mentorship would become the foundation for a lifelong connection, and that it would change my understanding of family and believing that a chosen family is possible? One of my mentors here tonight met me during some of the darkest and hardest seasons of trying to rebuild a part of my dream. And he had every reason to not to work with me, based on his accomplishments, his experiences, the rooms he has already been in, had access to, the logical things that would have been bigger things. But instead, he leaned in. And when I asked him why, he told me representation matters. One of the strongest forms of mentorship is not what you say, but it's how you live your values so strongly and you model how to show up in life that it transfers it as knowledge to others. One of my mentors here challenged me to really think outside of the one topic that I have had, to be thinking about larger, the context of family and systems in a larger way, and pushing me to think about, well, what about more than just the young people who are aging out? Who are those who are screened down? All of these relationships were mentorship, but honestly, to me, mentorship is the safe word for connection. Evidence that people could stay. Evidence that relationships didn't always have to end in abandonment. Evidence that connection could exist without harm. Evidence that trust could slowly be rebuilt. Each mentor becomes one step towards healing, one more step towards believing in humanity again. And eventually, mentorship led me towards a word that I think our sector struggles a lot to say out loud: love. Sometimes mentorship is simply the safest language that we have for the word love. Not transactional support, not saviorism, not performance. Love expressed through consistency, through patience, through persistence, through someone saying, you matter enough for me to keep showing up. That changes people, and I know it's changed me. Chosen family is born out of real connection, and mentorship carries that seed. So tonight is important to me because it really is about acknowledging the people who have helped me rebuild my own relationship with humanity. So for every trash bag, for every goodbye, and for every reason I had not to trust, someone stayed, someone called, someone answered, someone kept showing up, someone believed that I was worth investing in before there was proof. So tonight, this award really, to me, feels like for all of the mentors who I've invited here, and it's their night, in my opinion, for the time that they've spent with me. For Kidsave, I want to thank you for this work, because all of the relationships that I just spoke about tonight and why it was possible is because as a teenager, there was a mentorship program that I was part of. And in that program, I learned the framework of what it means to take that first step to trust a mentor. And that is why I learned those skills. So for those of you who are mentoring in the room, you may be in someone's life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and you just don't know it yet. And the thing is, you actually won't know it until decades to come. You do not know what you're planting. I want to thank you so much for this program, and thank you for honoring Darrell Booker. Thank you.